So in that form of self-exploration, I realized, even right now as Miss Universe Kenya, it's not that I knew I wanted to become a model and only stuck to walking and doing what and all those things that need to be used as a model, but it's strengths that I've learned from software engineering, from teaching, from entrepreneurship that set me apart. It's just faith. It's just my relationship with God. There's something that will bear witness in your heart. It doesn't even need to be, when people say, oh, God talked to me, or Twana feeling it's something so abstract, it's not that crazy. It's just something that bears witness in your heart. So all these things are intertwined and no one tells kids this. So unabaki ukitafuta tu kitu moja, I have to be a doctor and I have to be good at science. So we think it's this one definition of like, there's this one path that's already defined, and it's not true.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of A Letter to My Younger Self. Today on set we have Miss Universe Kenya 2024, Irene Ng'endo. I always really love interviewing people who I've known, because it's always so interesting finding out even more things, that you didn't know about them. So how are you, Irene?
I'm okay, how are you?
I'm well. How are you feeling today?
I am happy.
Happy?
Happy.
That's a nice response. I've actually never gotten someone say they're happy. It's a beautiful response. Can you tell people how we know each other?
Yes. Hey, hiyo story yetu niliona uliweka mahali pale Instagram, and I'm like, why hiyo picha ni gani?
Yeah.
So we started working together. It was because of Spellcast, right?
Yes.
That was like a theater production company and something like that. Mm-hmm. So you are doing makeup and sometimes you're also on the show. Can you imagine? Obosha on stage. And then I was dancing as well, but I always wanted to be a model. Mm-hmm. So when she started doing makeup, I was like, okay, kuja, practice on my face as I get used to this model lifestyle. Please weka hiyo picha mahali hapa watu waone kazi yenye
guys.
And he was so proud.
Yeah, I butchered her makeup. Oh my god, like the eyebrows, I scrolled down. I did find that picture and I was like, guy, I can't believe you actually went and took photographs.
Yes, proudly.
With
your eyebrow look what this short. Oh my god.
We really do come from far.
Okay.
So before we get into it, we can start by you reading us your letter.
All right.
And then we can get into it.
This is so... Not sure it's like I'm talking to myself mbele ya watu.
Yeah.
It's so strange. Let's see. So tuone Kiingereza yangu ilinifikisha wapi. Okay. Dear Irene, you just had a big fight with Shusho, and her question, what do you want to become, highlighted your worries and fears. You have no answer at the moment and you're afraid of what that means. Before we go any further, I want to tell you that will be your biggest strength. Here's why. 1, it will allow you to root your identity, not in titles or things you do, but in character, personality, and heart. 2, it will also allow you not to be limited to just one thing, because as you'll find out, you have a universe of possibilities inside of you. So my advice, instead of obsessing over what to do or who to become, invest in getting to know and understand yourself. Interact with yourself and explore your interest in the light of God. Remind yourself of this all throughout your journey, because anxiety will try to steal a lot of your peace. Man, it seems I'm learning from you today. Thank you. See why I said I'm not worried? You'll be just fine. Love, Ng'endo.
That was such a beautiful letter, Irene. And in the beginning, your grandmother really features prominently, which leads me to assume that you guys are very close. So perhaps maybe tell us how you grew up, your relationship with your grandmother, and the role that she played in your life.
Yeah.
Please, yeah.
Oh, that's such a sweet question. I grew up, my dad passed when I was 2 years old. Mm-hmm. So my mom raised me, so I was a single mom, and we are 4 girls. And so my grandma, that's my father's mom, right? My grandma was basically our dad, Basi. So she's had this really pivotal, just every moment in my life I can trace her. I can see how she was involved. Even from, one thing I like to say is a big part of where my life started to take like form or shift is with my relationship with God. And that wouldn't have come about if it's not for my grandma. Like, my mom took me to church, and my grandma as well, and both of them are very spiritual. But I started to really talk to God, because every time I would visit her in the morning, every morning without fail, 7 a.m. she's up, she's reading the Bible, and that was part of her. And she'd do devotion for like two hours or something. So I'd join her, and then she'd read the Bible in Kikuyu. Zingine zinanipita. But then from there I decided to form a relationship, because I'm wondering, And then she's a very successful woman. I like to say that's something that for me formed even the idea of women empowerment. It didn't start from that thought of what do women need to be better. Instead, it was women empowering others. That's what I thought women empowerment was. Till nikisoma and like, oh, people look at it from this perspective of what do women need to do to be better, or to like get them to where they need to go. But with her, it was always, I could just see like every help that would come to work for her, she'd educate all their kids. So she was always constantly giving and helping. And I think it's also what attributed and amounted to her success, because God gives where he knows you will be a vessel to continue giving other people. So for me, she's just been such a role model.
So let's throw back to when you guys were arguing. She's basically asking you, what do you want to do with yourself in the future? How old were you at this point, and sorry to cut you off, what led you to her asking you this question?
I was around Form 1, Form 2, and I think it's just kwanza hiyo time when you're supposed to choose subjects, supposed to do what. The choosing subjects was not difficult, because it was easy. There were things I was good at, zingine nimeuma nje kabisa. But now when that question came up, I think for me, the reason it's such a defining moment is because I always knew sijui nini nataka kukua, but at that time I had to admit to someone else
that you don't.
Yeah, so I was like, nimekutwa. Like I've been nimekutwa. Someone just found me in this chaos of my thoughts. And I think at that point I'd really thought that is what identity is about. That najua, I want to be a doctor when I grow up. I thought that is what identity is. But even in the letter I say that was one of my biggest strengths, because I was able to tie my identity to other things except from just a title. So I'm not Miss Universe Kenya, I'm not a software engineer, I'm not a teacher, I am kind, I am empathetic, I am. So that ended up being how I can define myself to people, because it was very hard to start, I want to be a doctor, or I'm studying for this and this. So that's why it was defining. So it's such a complicated day, but for me, it's just one of those days you go back to her. I learned something about myself here.
And what led to her asking you this question?
I don't know. I really don't know. It was just one of those devotions asubuhi to make her. Then she's like, oh, by the way, what do you want to become? And I think I had my sisters there. So when she's asking my sisters and my cousins, they know. Halafu mimi akiniuliza niko tu akisijui. I was just honest. So to her, she's wondering, napeleka wewe shule ndio nini? Like, so she really thought that I'm out of it. So and then on my end, I'm getting defensive. I'm wondering what is this. So it was just a big fight for no reason. But I think at the end of the day, again, it was one of those formative moments for me.
Personally, when I think back to when I was younger, I also had zero idea what I wanted to be. And for me, I always say that it's because the job that I wanted, or the job I'm doing right now, didn't exist at the time. So for you, why do you think you drew blanks when you were asked that question, and how did it end up affecting you?
I think for me, pia ni kama wewe, because my goal has always been, not my goal really, but something I knew that I loved was something like modeling. That's your time Form 2. I already had in my mind, I'm like, I should try this out, just as something to try out. But you see, no one sees how that can be impactful to your community, to your life. No one can see the impact of that. So you see jibu wenye wanataka, wakikuuliza what do you want to be. It's not, usinijibu hapa a model, or they want to hear career,
doctor, lawyer,
pilot. So I think that was one of the reasons. And then I think the second reason was just, no one tells kids that they can be so many things
at once.
Like, you don't have to be one thing. Currently, I'm a software engineer. I am a model, Miss Universe Kenya. I'm also a teacher. I'm an entrepreneur running a business called the Mansion Dance Studio, where we teach kids dance, coding, all these things. Just wajitafute. And really, that was part of my inspiration. Can I give kids a space where they can just explore who they are without the pressure of then it has to amount to something immediately? Can we just figure out who we are? So I think that's another reason. And the third thing I would say is I found it why I even say it's a strength instead of a weakness is because it allowed me to explore things. Because sasa nilikuwa najitafuta. So in that form of self-exploration, I realized, even right now as Miss Universe Kenya, it's not that I knew I wanted to become a model and only stuck to walking and doing what and all those things that need to be used as a model, but it's strengths that I've learned from software engineering, from teaching, from entrepreneurship that made me become Miss Universe Kenya. It set me apart. So the same thing even in software engineering I've seen. Like when I'm at the office and they're asking us to present a design that we've come up with or an app that ni mimi ndio wanatafuta, because modeling gave me public speaking skills. So all these things are intertwined and no one tells kids this. So unabaki ukitafuta tu kitu moja. I have to be a doctor and I have to be good at science. Or I have to be, if I want to be an accountant, mathematics. So we think it's this one definition of, like, there's this one path that's already defined and it's not
it's
true.
Not linear, Now, in your letter, you didn't want to give young Irene any spoilers of, the good things that are to come. But I'm sure our audience would like to know. So what are some, jaw-dropping moments, pinch me moments that you've had since then that young Irene would just, be so
never
thrilled
believe,
to hear?
Right? I mean, I'm Miss Universe Kenya. That's one.
Yeah.
But even my journey of my journey in modeling and pageantry specifically is one of them. Because when I started modeling knowing that, pageantry, knowing that it's Miss Universe I'm going after. It's not any other pageant, it's the Miss Universe crown. So even when I did Miss JQuat, and then I did Miss Progress, Africa, Miss Grand International, to me, I was always on a Miss Universe stage, trying to see how do I do it, what do I say, what do I have to bring to the table up as Miss Universe, what am I saying? And I think for me, this is why this is one of those jaw-dropping moments, because it looks like 7 years of work. But now it's here. Like in 10 days, I'm going to compete for the Miss Universe crown. So it's like, oh, ilifika. So I think that's one thing that Irene would never have thought. Because even when I knew modeling, I had no idea that there's something like pageantry. But then seeing pageantry and that it's not just modeling, it's a space for leadership and community service, I think young Irene would never have seen like hangejua, because my main question was sasa na model alafu inasaidia nani, wacha tu. So Irene, could give up.
Greater things are coming. And like you've said, not really knowing allowed you to exploit, allowed you to say yes to a bunch of different opportunities. So what are some experiences or opportunities that you maybe said yes to that you can say this definitely led to the present person that we have in front of us here today?
Actually when it comes to my business, the Mansion Dance Studio, the only reason I told you how I decided to define myself was with my character and not what I thought I wanted to become or not. So I believe I'm a very present and intentional friend. So the only reason I ended up having this business, the Mansion Dance Studio, is because in high school, my friend called Connie, she's so passionate about dance, and yeye ni wale wenye alikuwa anajua na hakuwa shy away from I want to do this. So at the time I think she was calling it Street Dance Mansion or something, and she was saying how anataka kufanya hii kitu. And the only reason I joined her in it was because she felt alone. There was no other reason. Mimi sikuwa nimewajiona, wow, I'm a dancer. Again, defining myself with labels was so difficult because for me I felt like it had to make so much sense. So I didn't join it because I'm a dancer. I just joined because, okay, you don't have anyone to help you and you're really passionate about this. Why, we don't have to postpone it till you get maybe a crew at the time or a partner or to dance with. I'll dance with you till you get your crew, until you figure this thing out. Then takuacha, you figure it out on your own. So in the process, na mimi nika fall in love with dance. I actually like to say dance. I think dance found me, not the other way. So in the process, I fell in love with dance, and then now the space. As the more we kept on dreaming about Street Dance Mansion, which ended up becoming the Mansion Dance Studio, is when I also saw how I fit into the vision as well, specifically as a teacher. Because now, if there's anything I was sure I'm good at, is just translating concepts to people. Even from high school, a lot of point after math, Irene, kuja explain this to me. So I knew for a fact teaching iko hapo na mimi. So now with dance, even when I learn a little, it's very easy for me to translate some concepts to kids. And then later we now expounded it, and I also teach kidding to coding to kids 4 years.
Wow.
So now we are dogo sana.
Yeah.
So it became such an exciting thing. And I think that's one of those things where it's because I didn't have any label to it, and I just allowed myself to explore just because of character. I'm like, let me be kind enough to help my friend in this. Kumbe, nilikuwa nikwe hapo ndani pia mimi.
It led to all of these other things. And like sometimes, or rather we live in a world where there's always this sort of pressure to have everything figured out, and everyone always looks like, they have everything figured out.
Social media will lie to you.
It really will. So I'm wondering, where did you get the courage, the confidence to sort of, I don't know, just really go for it? Where did it come from to, just let go and believe that it would work out?
Yeah, I think, honestly, apota siwezi kudanganya, it's just my faith. I can look for a nice something to tell you. It's just faith. It's just my relationship with God that I keep just going back, and I'm like, uko sure? Tunajaribu hiki tu. For what reason? To what end? So there are all those questions that I have, yes. But I think when I feel like I have that go ahead from God, or like that, just there's something that will bear witness in your heart. It doesn't even need to be, when people say, oh, God talked to me, or Tona feeling it's something so abstract, it's not that crazy. It's just something that bears witness in your heart. A conversation with you, for example, where you say something that you've been seeing in me that I've been trying to look at, and then I'm like, okay, if Obosha can see it, why not? Sinijaribu, Ivyo. So I think such things for me, when they bear witness, I account them to God, and then I just keep trying, because at the end of the day, shida nini, like, what's the problem to try this and this and this and move on, especially in our 20s. This is the time. Just explore, make your mistakes in your time. You have the capacity even to recover from any failure. Yeah.
That is so interesting that you've said that, because I'm always asking, and I've asked actually a couple of people, and I've never gotten an answer that is satisfactory to me. But I've always asked, every time, let's say someone posts, God spoke to me, I've always DM'd them, and I'm like, when you say God spoke to you, what exactly do you mean? And Irene, today you've actually given me a satisfactory answer, because I'm really like, I don't get it. What exactly? Was it a dream that you dreamt? Or
is it an audible voice?
Or did you actually hear it? But yeah, I think now I actually get it. And in your letter, you also said that at some point you thought that maybe your purpose was to help other people who have discovered their purpose achieve their purpose. What exactly did you mean by that?
I think that, to me, a good example is what I've just shared with Connie, and that she already knew she wanted to do this dance thing, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to bring myself there and help you. And even with, say, for example, teaching, that's what I'm doing with kids. They know at this moment, at least, they want to try dance or they want to try coding, so I'm there to help you go through whatever that is. But I like to say that the most, because why do you want to be Miss Universe? And I think for me that's the answer. To help people get to their own purpose and their own passions in life. I think that's my calling, if I'm being honest, because I always find myself talking to people about things like that, encouraging people towards it. And so as Miss Universe, even currently, my platform is called Inspiring Revolution, and the concept behind it is literally to inspire revolution. So to have people tap into their potential, their full potential, and their authentic expression of it. So explore everything that you are. What is your authentic expression, and what is your passion and your purpose? And just don't even be afraid to get it perfectly. Just start, because you'll find it along the way as you continue in this journey. So that has been my goal, even as Miss Universe, and that's why I want to be Miss Universe, to have a bigger platform to do that. And nikiangalia say, I'm like, I really, you are onto something. When you're thinking maybe when we're kusaidiana, in that time, at that time I was thinking, labda mimi ni mtu wa mkono. Nisaidie tu mtu nisema, oh, you want to do this, let's go, let's do it. Because there's also satisfaction in that. There are not so many people who can do that. Service is powerful. So now seeing it with the Miss Universe title, I'm like, okay, that's the service I was called for. Yeah.
And how does it feel now? Like, how fulfilling is it to, now know your purpose and to know, the power that you hold?
I think So it's why I told you I'm happy at the beginning of the interview, because it's even if it's hard, even if it gets difficult, you know that it's bigger than you, and then you also know that what you can also do it. Because you find, when I look at my life, I find a consistency that I keep helping people. So then I have evidence that I can do it again and again. Even if given a bigger platform like Miss Universe, I can still do it there. So it keeps me happy, and at the same time, it keeps me grounded and purpose. That Sita, even if imposter syndrome comes in, I'm like, it's not about you, Irene. Ebu, please, just collect yourself, because it's about someone else as well. Yeah.
And God and your faith, it's also a huge theme in your letter. How has your relationship with God, pulled you through the ups and downs of life?
Oh my gosh. Sasa mtu hapo anajibu aje. Kila siku kuna ups and downs, and every day God saves me from them. Zingine ndio umejitakia, Mungu anasema, come my child, please. Yeah. So I don't know how I can answer that question other than what can I say? I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how I can answer that question other than just saying it's a day-to-day relationship with God. I think another thing that happens to be a myth, like about our relationship with God, is that it's this perfection of praying every day, like my shosho. I mean, kuna wenye wanaweza kuwa hivyo, but kila mtu praying every day like shosho, not having any questions and doubts with God. And no, our relationship with God is just the same way you have a relationship with a partner. Mnafight siku ya swingine, you sit down, talk about the issue, and then you're like, oh, okay, that's where you are coming from, that's where I was coming from, tumeelewana, let's continue. Hata kunakuwa na time hamtaongeleshana for a week, mmekasirikiana. It's a relationship with God. I think we make it so difficult, and it's not. Just keep talking to your God. Mimi hapa sieti naomba asubuhi sijaomba, but I'm constantly talking to God because He's real to me the same way you are. So in my mind, even when you ask me questions, I'm like, hey, Mungu, sasa hiyo tunajibu aje? Like that's the simplicity of a relationship with God. So that's what it has been to me. That's why I don't have so many answers other than I don't know. Tunaongea tu, alafu in the process there's that direction that comes about. Yeah.
And one of the fears that you mentioned was that you were going to die young. You thought you were going to die young.
Oh, such a random fear. Irene.
Exactly. where did that come from?
It was so random. And I don't even think that it was a fear. It was just a thought. Julie Jambia, again, as I tell you, I'm always talking to God in my mind. So I'm like, na kwa nini uniambi what I need to become? Like, I need an answer. Sasa tunafai tunajua si unishow. Si unafaa kujua kila kitu. Just tell me what I need to do. And then in my mind, I'm like, ama nakufa mapema na utake me stress. It was as simple as that. And that's why at the end I mentioned how I've always seen beauty in the second thought that maybe I'm there to help people. In the first one, I'm always saying that's just a random thing I didn't. So say when you look on nafikiria. But as I was writing that, I realized there's also beauty to that, because I was still accounting everything to God. So I'm still looking at it as, oh God, kama hakuna answer, pia ni sawa, wewe unajua. Like that's reckless abandonment to God. Like umejiachilia ile I am yours, deal with me. Like, deal with me. So I think for me, I saw beauty in the process of writing that letter.
Yeah, and can we talk a bit more about, you've just mentioned the reckless abandonment to God. What was that for you?
I like to define it as, Yani, God is the one who will figure things out. So that when He tells you to, and again we've said tell is not the vague one, when you just get that witness in your heart to go this direction. For example, with you, when you started a letter to my younger self, there was something that was telling you, just do this, it can help someone, that's what that witness is like. So when you get that witness, because you're so abandoned to God and telling yourself that God has this, you just start. I think that's where your question on where do I get the confidence to just start something and just do it. It's just that reckless abandonment. That even if it dies, this business, for example, the mansion and studio dies in 1 year, what will it have done within that year? Even if it dies in 2 weeks, what has it done, or what have I learned about myself or about people in that 2 weeks that it's running? Because so many times we have looked at things as if the goal is the end. And what it is you've gotten at it. Come on, for example, a good story I can tell is, before going for Miss Universe Kenya, I was interviewing for Microsoft, because I'm a software engineer, yeah? So Microsoft is big tech, like it's the big companies that everyone in tech is working towards. And I'm wondering, it's not even been long, Irene, who do you think you are? That was the first question. But then I decided, you know what, go for it, because quantity needs to happen, just go for it. And in the process, at the end of it, when I was going for the boot camp for Miss Universe Kenya, nilikuwa nimemaliza all the interview rounds, and even to get that far was such a blessing. Because normally unatolewa kwa round ya kwanza, and they're like 6, 7. So I was at the last round, talked to the hiring manager. I thought it went well. I'm like, wow, let's see. So I go to Miss Universe Kenya, nimalize ni Rudy, and then some 2 days after, I get a rejection of, no, we're not proceeding with you. Na ilikuwa your last step. I was waiting for an offer, so I'm like, I work at Microsoft now, guys. But happy. So when that happened, I remember just talking to God in my mind. Vile nakwambia, let's not even call it prayer. Let's kuangalia Mungu like, now what was the point? Why did I go through this whole interview process? But life is to know yourself, and for me to know my God. So for me to realize the nature of God as I'm going through things. And as difficult as the Microsoft interviews were, something that I realized about myself is leadership, which is weird because the position was not leadership, but that's what I ended up seeing in myself during the interview process. Something that I realized about God is how He's with you. Literally in the room kwa interview ujui jibu, and for some reason it came to your mind. So literally God is there with you. So these are the things I got at the end of it, regardless that I did not get the interview. So even when I was feeling down, that became my go-to. That sawa ujashinda, but what is victory to you? Can you actually define success a little differently? Instead of defining it as this end goal, can you decide that the journey is also success, and what you learn throughout of it is success? And now I decided, actually challenged myself, and that can be a good challenge to you guys, to put down as you're going towards something. So you have a new goal. Instead of just thinking that the victory is getting to this end goal, anza na kuandika what it is that you could learn along the way that could be termed as success, because that will help you that even if you get it or not, you have motivation to actually go through it. Because how imposter syndrome catches you is by telling you about this big goal. Unafikiri unaingia Microsoft kama nini? And then kama nani, like who are you really? And then now you give up. But if you have the 2 steps, no, but if I do interview process 1, I learn this, I learn this, I learn this, imposter syndrome haitakukamata hivyo vyote. Itakuwa lakini si sana, because you'll be like, no, but let me try because there's this one goal, and then another one, and then another one. Then you find yourself there at the end of the day.
And there's actually also this common pattern in your letter as well. Just like you've been explaining how, maybe you wanted to do something, you get anxious, and then you're like, no, let's trust in God. And you want to do something else, maybe fear catches you, and you're like, no, He's with me. Yeah. So how do you normally get from the point where you're really anxious to no, let's trust Him, He's got this?
Yeah, maybe anxiety. Even on novel depth, so sometimes maybe anxiety will chase after me but will not catch me. But I think how I go about it is a lot with conversation. I'm someone who processes things as I talk. So me and my friends, I talk their ear off. Hey, nitaka hapo nao niwaambie kuna hii na hii may happen. And then as I'm talking, I'm able to process and see maybe the outcome. So I think having a good community of friends goes a long way, because they're the ones who can keep you grounded when everything is like up in the air. So that's 1. And then 2, again, just praying. Nakaa tu chini na Mungu, naomba, najiambia, ile reckless abandonment is trusting. You've had me. Sijuka ni ulijibu sahi, and I'm upset about it, but you've had me, and I hope along the way I'll see your reasoning and your why. I think those are the 2 things that just give me some form of sanity, but then I have to repeat it over and over again, because I'll pray right now, and then 10 minutes later, I'm like, guy, ile nguo yangu ya Miss Universe haiko ready. Oh my God, anxiety. And then I have to go back again and try to just calm myself. So I think it's a constant practice all throughout the day to intentionally just try to calm down. Yeah.
If you could go back in time and give advice to the young Irene who, had no idea what she wanted to be and was maybe panicking kidogo, what would you tell her?
I think it would just be what I shared in the letter, that don't focus so much on what you need to become and who, like your swalia, who are you really? Because honestly, it just gave me frustrations for no reason. It would be instead just explore, like self-exploration. And if we were to look at it as this beautiful, you see how you are with your friends, and as you start knowing them, the first time you met, say your best friend, I'm coming to Joanna, the second day you know each other a little more, you share stories and you become closer. That's what the journey of self-discovery should be. That I don't know who I am yet, but there's no problem, because I'm with me. So I just keep trying to see who I am. Today you have a conversation on, oh, by the way, do you like this form of hanging out, like, is this fun to you? No, it's not. Good to know. What else do you like, Ivio? So you just explore just the same way with a friend or a partner or anything, how we go about finding out who they are. Yeah. That's how we should approach finding out who we are. So unakaa tu chini with yourself. There is no issue in finding out you don't like this or you like this, you're good at this, you're not good at this. It's not now, and you're not good at math. Sasa unakuanga mjinga. It's not that. Yeah. It's okay, so you're not good at math. What are you good at, Ivio?
What is next for Irene? What are you most looking forward to?
Irene is going to Mexico to represent Kenya. So this is actually on the 28th of October. That's when I leave. And there's a 2-week boot camp there. And then there's now the final competition, November 16th. And you know what? Let me be bold enough, because there's nothing like wasted faith. Let me be bold enough to ask you guys to watch so that you can see faith in action. Because I'm going to win.
Period.
So please watch to see faith in action. Something I've been working for 7 years. And with a goal that's bigger than me, I would love for you guys to see me get that crown. So watch, vote, do all that. Aki, because tunashinda. Na mkiona nimeshinda. Yeah, our pact is when I win, you have to go after what it is you've been thinking about. That's our pact.
We're so proud of you, Irene. Personally, I'm rooting for you, and I know you will bring this home. Yes. So like you said, we can vote for you. How will we be able to vote?
So there's going to be a number of voting that's open, but kuna moja currently. So think of it like, you know how presidents have a manifesto. So what do you want to do with your year of reign as Miss Universe? So there's that that's up on a certain platform, and I'll share the links with you so that you can share, maybe as you're sharing this video, a platform called CI Talks. So the competition itself is called Voice for Change. So it's how are the delegates using their voice to cause change, and what's their unique contribution towards those issues that they are focused on. So because mine is youth empowerment, I'm talking about my platform there, and how Kenya can help is by watching, sharing, and voting. So there's one free vote per IP address. Okay. So if you're able to just watch, give your free vote, it goes a long way. I mean, tuko wengi PSCC. If you can get 40 million plus votes, I mean, tumeshashinda hiyo kitu. So, and I think my reason as to why people should watch is not so much about the voting, but to just see, again, nimewa challenge, come see faith in action. So listen to that manifesto and what it is I want to do as Miss Universe Kenya, so that you can also, as Miss Universe, so that you can also relate with it. And then when I win, hold me accountable so that I can actually do what I've said I want to do.
Amazing. Now, before I let you go, you wrote a letter to young Irene. Now, we do this time capsule sort of thing where now I need you to leave a message to Irene, but in 10 years' time. So you can take a minute, think about what you'd like to tell your older self, and when you're ready, leave yourself a message.
Yeah, ni ngumu. Let's think. What did I say? 10 years. Who are you even, Irene, and 10 years? Sasa juku tuko Back to the Future. What is that movie that there's that past, present, future?
I'm tempted to say that's so relevant, but is it?
Hata kuna hiyo. Anyway, juku tuko huko. Irene, 10 years from now, Irene, I am assuming you've probably ventured into leadership just because of how heavy that conversation is now and how you want to run away from it. So I feel like utapelekwa your direction. And if so, if you have ventured towards leadership, I pray that you know that your heart is still as pure as it was before, because leadership can sometimes make you feel like you are scattering everything. I pray that you know that your heart is as pure as it was when you thought about leadership. And I pray that God will keep you grounded in your why, so that you don't become a leader who is wale wenye Gen Z wana protest. Usikue hao. Ukue a leader who will actually cause change for your community. And if this leadership does not look like government leadership, I'm pretty sure you found your own way of figuring it out. Because even currently at now, you are a leader, right? So I'm curious to see what exactly it is you're doing. And I think my message to you is just that just keep your reason, your heart, the characters about you, don't let that fade away.
I was really waiting for you to start. Hi, Miss Universe 2024.
You're now
I love it. So we're wishing you well.
Thank
all the best when you go to Mexico. We'll be rooting for you back at home, and I know that you'll bring the crown back home.
Yes.
And for you guys at home, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out the description box to see how you can support Irene. Until next time, bye.
Bye.